Hello everybody. I am FZappa20, and if you are a recent subscriber because of the football video, I am sorry. This is mostly a channel where we talk about Phish and King Gizzard. Oh, and did you guys see the Phish reference on Saturday Night Live last night? You probably missed it, seeing how nobody watches that show anymore. But it was a pretty funny, appropriate Phish reference, I felt. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about a show from over 10 years ago, July 13th, 2014. Right before old FZappa20 jumped back into the ring, this Phish ring that is, and it was at Randall's Island in New York. This show known for a few things, mostly the chalk dust torture in the second set, and the entire second set, really. The chalk dust torture in the second set and the entire second set, as well as the crowd chanting Reba, and Trey and the band saying, okay, we'll play Reba for you guys. They started out with Sand, a fantastic opener. And 2014, this was, while it continued for several years, even till now, Sand certainly never really disappointed. Oh, speaking of King Gizzard, there it is, Thompson's Point. The stream is about to start. Even though they're replays, I still want to watch them every night. I've already seen that one, listened to it, watched highlights. Now I'm ready to do it again. All right, but let's get back to Randall's. And they followed the Sand up with Winterqueen again. And now this one, along with Sing Monica, even though I don't even think Sing Monica existed then, but this all felt like very, when did Sing Monica come out? What album was that on? Was it Fuego or pre-Fuego? Joe, sometimes I don't even remember what damn album these songs are from, but what I was going to say was, Winterqueen feels like early, 3.0 to me. While, they played it all the way through 17 and 18, which, I don't know. It's tough to tell what's early, what's mid, what's late. I don't know. Is there a 4.0? No, there's not, is the answer to that question. So then this is when we get the Reba chant. I don't know look, starting out with Sand and Winterqueen, this was a really strong start to what was going to be a great show. But the crowd had made up their mind already. We want a Reba tonight. You guys are playing a fine show on your own, but, let us do a little producing here. Reba, Reba. And then you got a really nice Reba. As I mentioned this morning in the live stream, I cannot believe that about 2 weeks after this event, I hopped on YouTube, a little buzzed, and said, I found Reba to be boring. And I meant it. I wasn't just trolling or anything. I found Reba boring at that point. Big Reba guy now. That was not a big Reba guy then, turned back into a big Reba guy. So then we got kind of shortchanged on the Birds of a Feather. I'm thinking since the Reba might have been impromptu, Birds of a Feather was a little bit cut short, and Water in the Sky followed that up. Both just kind of okay. Then Possum, mid-first set Possum. That's about the only place I can handle it, really, is early in the show. And we got that here. Runaway Jim, while they tried to reach the peak, I know by the time I jumped in and all the way through the Baker's Dozen, if there was one thing they could do is they could hit a peak on certain songs. But this Runaway Jim, they had a little trouble, man. It was like Trey was trying, and Trey's like, what about here? Is that it? Oh, no. He just kept shooting and missing, Hey, he pulled the old Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Trey kept going for it and just kept missing. So then they drop it back down to bouncing around the room. Then they made up for it in Maze, though, because, I was starting to lose focus and interest a little bit, if I can be honest at this point. The Maze brings it all back in, as it was just a rapid-fire, crazy Maze. But it just was sort of on point. There was no swinging and missing, really. It was just a fiery Maze. Then into Split Open and Melt, we had this siren thing going on. It's kind of reminded me of there was a couple points in this show where I felt like was revisiting Deer Creek 2024, that is, night 3. And this siren sound and just how chaotic it was before that, like smooth and together and Melt, but still just like, oh man, like if you were a casual fan or not even a fan and you heard this, you'd be like, yeah, that's what I always thought of Phish. Just like, ugh, what is that? But once you develop a taste, you're like, oh yeah, I hear it in there. And this is not not one of the songs. There were a handful of songs throughout the night where there's just like these empty spaces here. I have always been like, yeah, 4 guys in a band is perfect. Trios, no good. You get over, you start getting 5, 6, 7 band members, it's too much for me. I feel like King Gizzard has probably changed that. King Gizzard's kind of changing a lot over here. So like there's at times I'm worried they're going to ruin Phish for me. I know when I got real into Billy Strings for a minute there too, that I felt like that was happening. And obviously we just need some live Phish shows. That's all it is, I guess, really. But there were times in this show where there's just like, there's these empty spaces in the music. Now, if all four guys are, in fifth gear, all at a 10, sure. No, not really. But there's times when it's like, oh, they could use like maybe a little three-horn section, maybe some strings, perhaps even another guitar player. They never will need a second. No, no, no on the two drummers. Don't you even suggest it. I know I'm trying to add strings to the band, And I mean, you got to admit, that was pretty badass when Billy joined them, right? Not a lot of empty spaces in the music there. There was like nowhere where you could just like put your fist into this dead air. And, then let's just get to the second set in Chalk Dust. Well, the first, I felt like the Melt, the Reba, the Sand and Winterqueen, the Jim was, I could say if I tried to like analyze just looking at the set list this morning, what I thought maybe like what was to be expected. And other than the Runaway Jim, I think I was pretty right. Kind of nailed it. I'm sure you would have as well. Not like I'm some kind of Phish psychic here, but I would have expected Jim to be somewhere in the 9 or 10 region, and it was not really, unfortunately. Maze, another highlight. So a first set filled with highlights, and then you get to the second set, which is really the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. The little gravy and some biscuits if you're lucky. Perhaps cold ice water, sweet tea, Pepsi if you're me on the side there. Refreshment, maybe a beer. I don't know, do people have beer with meat and potatoes? I'm not sure. All right, the Chalk Dust Torture, a little bit overrated. For people talking, I mean, and it started quick, like boom, 6.5 minutes in, it felt like here we are already at the top of the mountain. There is no hanging out at base camp here. We are going by all of those buffoons and we are going right to the top. And, speaking of all guys hitting fifth gear, being at an 11, that was early on in this Chalk Dust. And then it backs off and, it gets to a real quiet section. And it changed gears a little bit. Like, they get into this maybe like almost a crab in my shoe mouth situation. Felt like there were several songs tonight. Maybe even, maybe I was hearing Stash, even like possibly they were trying to rehash the Runaway Jim for a moment there. Like, ooh, I wish we had that one back as they were deep into this Chalk Dust jam. But really, beyond that opening part of the jam, really, I thought maybe sections 2 and 3 a tad overrated. Maybe the reason this carries and stays up there is because of the Light and Tweezer that followed. Again, similar to the night 3 at Deer Creek this summer. Well, that was an outstanding Ghost. Putting it on the all-time list, I don't know if that's a thing that should be done. But then you follow it up with how that set continued to just be outstanding. I think that's maybe what was going on with this Chalk Dust. While it was very good. Not to say it wasn't, but, people putting it on the all-time list, I don't know. Maybe just in 2014, we were so excited for something like this. It had been a minute. People like me just totally jumping off the wagon at points in 2010, 11. So maybe there was a little bit of that. But really, I also feel like as the set continued, that Light was absolutely amazing. And then a really good Tweezer. The Light had this almost like Divided Sky, like the peak of Divided Sky, just the absolute, well, it depends. I guess, you may like other parts, but that part when Divided Sky is just driving it home, And that's kind of where I Light hit that part a little bit. Then there's this part in Tweezer where Mike just lays the bass, just like, I'm sure everybody on the island felt that one, whether if they were at the show or not. A couple of vendors went down, I heard. And if Mike was giving us some rapid-fire bass in a recent show I listened to, these were, in fact, being dropped from high above. Mike, you know what I'm getting at. Then we get a Velvet Sea. Trey trying to, they were a little jammed out at this point. And then Sing Monica, again, another one, kind of like the Winterqueen, just feels really early 3.0 Phish. Almost like this Rolling Stones thing, just like a rock and roll song. Just didn't really feel like them. Like, if you're there, I'm sure you're getting into it, but I don't know about old Sing Monica. I don't know about early 3.0 altogether, And then you get the Encore backwards down the number line, Tweezer Reprise. Oh, and then Slave to the Traffic Light after that. Again, where it was a lot of Trey trying to make a Velvet Sea special. Well, then he kind of, in fact, did. If Maze kind of completed what they didn't achieve in Jim, Velvet Sea kind of maybe didn't get there, but then Slave to the Traffic Light, in fact, did. If they were like, no, we've got a remedy here. You got to give him a little bit of this and then a little of this and then dash a little potion here. You know, he wants to leave you feeling a certain way when you leave there. You know, I can't believe it. That's another thing I don't like. You know, has him feeling a certain way. Well, what's way? How's he feeling? Don't just let a certain way me. There's a lot of these expressions out there that like get said and then people just say them. I'm guilty of it occasionally. Let's go. It's cooking. Cope. All right. So going through the greatest hits of internet slang words that are hot right now. So yeah, I think that was about it. I think I went a little too long here. Got a little talky, huh? It's weird. Some recaps, I'm like, I don't know. I don't have anything to say. Other times I go almost 11 minutes. Did I say everything I wanted to say? I don't know. I don't even know if I did. To be perfectly clear. Malcolm, how's that? Are you happy, Malcolm? Malcolm's not here. I'm pretty sure Malcolm bailed on the channel. That live stream this morning, a handful of you showed up. Thank you. And Malcolm, dude, what a buzzkill. You know, look, it was a live stream. We were talking this, that, every night. You know, you kind of just goes over the place. It's like a conversation. You know, you don't always stick to the subject. Try to bring it back to Randall's Island, but he didn't have patience, this Malcolm. I wasn't in a very good mood coming off the Buckeyes loss, you know. I got over it. Got to watch the Browns lose. I'm kind of happy they're losing, you know. I've completely turned on them, man. Now I'm just rooting against the Browns every week. Like, yeah, good, congrats, bud. Your Eagles got a W. See what happens? See, man, we're supposed to be talking about Randall's, and here I am celebrating a Browns L. Yes. Mostly because I bailed on them at week 1, and I was like, they're awful. Enough of this. I'm not wasting another season. You know, I got stuff to do. I got walnuts to pick up, lawns to mow. I'm not doing this again every Sunday. They're horrible. They're awful. People got to go. And if people are like, calm down, buddy. It's just one game. Hey, man. Nope. Now what are you going to say, huh? What are we now, 6 games in? Awful. I don't know how they beat Jacksonville. How bad must Jacksonville be? In fact, I hear in Jacksonville, they're like, we need a culture change. It was not the case at Randall's Island. New York, New York. July 13, 2014, the Phish got it done. Well, YouTube algorithm, good luck with this video. Boom, we're out of here.